Welcome to another episode of CRE, The Unspoken Truth. I'm Charlie Coppola, COO of CRE OneSource, and I'm joined by Craig, my father, a longtime broker at Lee & Associates and founder and CEO of CRE OneSource. Welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be back. These are fun for me.
Yeah. Today, our topic is lead from the front. This is something you talk about all the time. You always say, I think you say it to others, but I think you also say it to yourself. So tell us what that means, lead from the front.
I say it to myself all the time because it took me a long time to learn it. Leaders have to lead from the front. And I've read, you can read a lot of books on leadership. One of the best ones written in the last few years is Extreme Leadership by Jocko Willink. And the idea of leading from the front is that all problems, and I learned this from a guy named Gary Hooker, if you have a solution to a problem and that solution doesn't begin with I or me, you don't have a solution. So as a leader, and we have a problem within our organization or a problem with a client, if the solution to that problem doesn't begin with I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, then we don't have a solution. So I like to say we lead from the front and we lead all the time. So I've added a couple things to my lead from the front. The first one is we lead from the front. Second is all the time. And third, we go first.
All the time, and we go first. So we go first, meaning, other people will second guess or kind of push back against trying something new or change. And you're like, hey, I'm diving in, head first. Is that kind of what you mean by that?
No, I think go first means people want vulnerability out of their leaders. They want people to give first. And so I'm the first one to acknowledge my weaknesses. I'm the first one to acknowledge where I can't do something. I'm the first one to say, this is hard for me. I'm the first one to say, can you help me? I'm the first one to raise my hand when someone else needs help. And so I've just said to myself all the time that when we go first, it's always me. And I hope there are other leaders that want to take charge, and I will definitely give them that. But I find mostly that there isn't a lot of leaders out there. There are people who want to follow, or they want to lead when they're super motivated or they had a great day. And that gets that's not a leader. A leader has to lead even when they don't feel like it.
Leaders lead every day, right? All the time. And I think, you don't have to have a CEO title to be a leader, right? It's going first, being vulnerable, saying, this solution starts with me, I'll figure it out. Like that can come from anywhere within an organization, within a team, no matter the age or experience level, right?
I just got out of a team meeting. We have 12 people in that meeting with our team. And Chelsea Clifton, who's our director of operations, been really my right hand for the last 13 years, ran the entire meeting. And after the meeting, I asked her to stay, and I just gave her 10 minutes of props because Chelsea never wanted to be in front, never wanted to do anything. And I said, I will never put you in front. And now I don't even ask her. I said, you run this entire meeting. She took a 2-hour meeting with 10 or 12 people in it and ran the entire thing. And so that to me is a leader. She doesn't have a leadership title, but she definitely is a leader within the organization because she owns everything that she does so well. No one ever questions her. And so she is an invaluable asset to me because she's such a damn good leader. And it's been years. I've been telling her, I send her jokes all the time. It's like, hey, you led pretty good today. And she'll laugh back. And, now she's actually accepting it. She's become the leader that was always in there. And so it is something that can be learned. So that's the next question. People ask, can you learn this? And the answer is yes. You have to own it. You have to own what you're doing. And then you have to just continually refine your craft. And over time, you can lead.
Are there other things that you think can help you be perceived more as a leader, owning, leading from the front or kind of raising your hand first? What else in your mind helps other people perceive you as a leader?
I'm gonna make an analogy here. When we hire salespeople, they think they need to be the used car salesman. And so they'll come in and they'll go, hey, can I give you floor mats to close the deal today? And it's all cheesy and that's not a salesperson. The salesperson is taking somebody's perceived want or need and we'll hook up the product that goes with them. So it's putting two parties together and they agree on something. That's to me selling. And so in leadership, when I say put my hand up first, when we do cold calls, I'm the first one to make my cold calls. I am never late on my cold calls. In fact, I just asked them because I'm going to have some time in July. We're doing this at the end of June. I'm going to have some time in July where I'm going to have some time to call. I just asked them to print my July, August, and September calls because I want to get those done early. I want to get ahead, and I want to be the one leading the way. When we create a new experiment, I'm the first guinea pig on that experiment. It is not me standing up in front of my team and saying, go, rah, rah. It's me quietly. I have this quote that I've been using, and I'm going to paraphrase. It's by Eric Gertens in the book Resilience. Mastery stands atop thousands and thousands of small failures. And so that's what mastery is. And so we've changed the word to experiment. So I'm the one, guinea pig, let me fail. I'm okay doing it. I'll show how bad I am to see if we can get good at this.
Yeah, and I know you're big on experiments. We've done it and really embodied it at CRE OneSource. You've been doing it with your brokerage team for years, and some genius stuff comes out of that, right? So you don't get to the point where you want to be. You don't grow your business unless you're trying new things, and so that's how you do it, right?
Yep, we experiment, but leadership is a couple of things. If you just looked at the experiment, you can use the word failure, you can use the word experiment. We want to try new things. Some work, some don't. But the idea that we're committed to this, the idea is that we're committed to this, and you and I just had this conversation, is are we committed to making this certain thing in our business work? And you either have to say, yes, we are or not, and then we go for it. And so when we said we're going to try experiments, it was just me because I had people, they didn't want to fail. They didn't want to fail in front of me. And I'm like, okay, let's just figure out another word. When your sister was playing, she's an All-American at LSU playing beach volleyball. She said, in big matches, she would get anxious. And I said, we changed the word to excited. So it became this thing. It's like, hey, how excited are you? She said, very excited, And so the words matter. What we tell ourselves matter, and how we lead matters. How we lead not only verbally, but body language wise, showing up wise, getting there early, being prepared for every meeting. And it's hard. The reason I say it all the time is because it's fucking hard. And it's hard to be a leader all the time. And so lots of people like, oh, I'm a leader, but they want to lead on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, not Sunday night when there's a football game on and they want to be at home.
Yeah. After they've had their coffee, right?
Exactly.
So one of the other kind of phrases in my mind is like, live the culture that you preach. So lead from the front, live the culture you preach. They're similar, I think. Really embody the culture, embody the core values, the non-negotiables that you want and expect out of others. I know how we do it at CRE OneSource. We have non-negotiables and we do talk about them all the time. Is that something you would recommend every organization, every team kind of having a set of core values and then, continuously talking about them and trying to embody them and live examples or talk about examples of them? Yeah,
I think as a broker, most brokers are independent. If you look across the country, the big shops now, and we have a big team. But as we're finding out, because we're selling to a lot of these folks that have their independent brokerage office, it's them. Maybe their wife does the books, or husband does the books, whatever it is. There may be two brokers. It's fairly small companies. So the idea of culture starts in your own head and your own action. So the culture that I was building for my team today was the culture that I had for myself. And I've added vocabulary around that. We say this all the time, and this might be another topic for another time, is, culture is vocabulary. Creating vocabulary for your team means things. We just talked about velocity in another one of these podcasts. That means something within an organization. We have a whole podcast on it. I have a whole presentation. I've given it to a couple hundred people at a time what is velocity within our team, and every word that we have and everything that we do within our non-negotiables means something to us. And let me just add like one we added. In the last 5 years, we are out of the crisis business. For the first 20 years of our existence, I was a fairly small one-time broker with an assistant and a runner, and then started growing the team. And it was a reactionary business. And so as a broker, I was like, I just need to get out of the crisis business all the time in reactionary business. So we created a non-negotiable out of it. And so every single meeting that I sit in, every single one, if something comes up, like we were chasing a prospect, like we know that this prospect is going to ask us to pitch. We know they haven't asked us yet. We should be getting on the presentation. And sometimes they never ask us, but we were getting ahead. I was like, we're out of the crisis business. We should be preparing that presentation right now so that we have 80% of it done. When they finally ask us, we're way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And so that's how we do it.
So these words, these phrases, these core values, non-negotiables you use, I imagine you've kind of created them out of necessity, right? Like, and I would imagine lead from the front is the same, right? You created that. Was it created to teach leadership to other people, or was it created for yourself to more as a mantra to get yourself going every day?
I think all the words, every single word that I use was created for me as a mantra.
Yeah.
It was always started with me as a mantra. Have we done Locke on this?
We've written a source, a blog.
Source on Locke. So anyway, learn, own, compress, Kaizen. I mean, that was in my mind. It's like, I got to learn how to do this. Then I got to own it. Then I got to compress it. Then I got to Kaizen it. And so all of these were for me. And then I've just created them because I do have the capability of then turning something that may be fairly complex and make it simple. That's a skill set that I have, a simplifier. And so that's what I've been doing. And all of these words, velocity or lead from the front or lock or we're out of the crisis business, all of these are for me. They mean something to me, and they mean something in my core. And then I have been pushing these to have it in a core of our team. And, we're pretty good at it, but we can get better at it. And I think every team can do that.
Yeah. One kind of final thought I had too was, I know you have a handful of people, a lot of people have gurus, Tony Robbins, that they just follow. I know you have a handful of people that you follow and you pick up a little piece here, a little piece there. In terms of leadership or people that you follow, what do you look for? Why do certain people or certain things about people stick out to you?
Well, I'm not a one guru guy. I'm a crazy reader of stuff. And so if you've gotten my lifeys over the last 9 years or 8 years since we've been doing it, I draw on everything. So I started this, it was crazy. I started 35 years ago. Commercial brokers I felt were behind the times and how they sold. And I was really interested in the life insurance business and how they sold. So I started meeting with life insurance agents just to get their pitches on how they ended up chasing clients, because they had, at that time, back in the 80s, they had a really good follow-up system. They were on their systems really good. And so they would tell you, hey, I'd tell them, hey, I can't meet with you for a couple months. I'd get a call. They had recall systems. So I started learning. The first time I learned, it was like, well, I'm going to follow that industry. And then I started following another industry. And I did a couple clients in the insurance business and how they underwrote clients. And so I started looking at that. So over the last 40 years, I now look at 20 or 30 different industries. In every single industry, I'm always looking at how can I see how they do something that might be better that we can incorporate. And I think that's just the learning mindset. So one of my ongoing mindsets for myself is I'm a continuous learner. So I want to learn for the rest of my life. And I do that by trying and experimenting and doing lots of things like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of Jesse Cole, the Yellow Tux. And he always talks about learning from other industries. And so his role models are Walt Disney, P.T. Barnum. He talks a lot about them and trying to take stuff that they do and bring it into baseball. And I know that you have a similar perspective.
Yeah, Jesse Cole's a perfect one. I've learned a lot from Jesse, and it's what's interesting to me now, and I find it certainly fun. Jesse's a young person, he's in his 30s, maybe 40 now, but I was learning from him, and stuff that he has some really good stuff, and I was learning from him, and I'm like, man, how come I didn't learn that at an earlier age? I learned lots of things, but Jesse taught me some things, and just like some of these other guys that I follow, and again, I'm not stuck on I can steal anything, even if it's wrong. Even if the quote is wrong, I'm going to use it. I've been telling everybody, Michael Jordan's Last Dance is my favorite documentary of all time. And why is that? Because Michael Jordan said, oh, that hot dog vendor looked at me wrong, so I'm going to go out and score 40 points. It's like, okay, he's stealing, he's getting stuff from everywhere. That's what I want to do. And I continue to do it today.
Yeah. Yeah. So really, to summarize and recap this, lead from the front is a mantra that you've said, to yourself for years. I say it to myself, and I know that you use it in your kind of teachings as well. Kind of practice and live the culture that you preach. Solutions kind of begin with me, right? That was one thing you said early on in this call or this podcast, was solutions begin with me. And leaders own, what they do. They take credit, they take blame for mistakes. They raise their hand first, and they're vulnerable, right? They're vulnerable first. So,
and the last thing, it's really hard. And
Yeah.
just understand it's really hard. And some days you're going to fail on that, but you have to dust yourself off and say, I'm going to be a leader again tomorrow. And over time, you'll wake up and you'll be like, it's really good. I can tell you there's a lot of fresh air at the front of the pack, because not a lot of people are out there. And I'm looking behind me 40 years into my career and looking at a bunch of people that I left behind because I became a leader. And so I like the air up here. It's really hard. I pay the price every single day. Leadership is not easy. And if anybody thinks it is, you're fooling yourself.
Yep.
Or you're
Yep.
not leading.
And one last thing, you always say, I would never ask anyone to do something I haven't done myself, or I'm not willing to do myself right now. And so, that's another way of saying lead from the front.
We're talking about unspoken truths here. We're running our headquarters. We have this home office that's separate, and we have 5 or 6 dudes and I'm like, this morning, what was I doing? I was cleaning the bathroom. I'm like, this is our home, boys. We need to clean. And I'm like, I cleaned the bathroom this morning. I'm not asking, I'm telling, look, I'm going to do this. I'll continue to do it, but you guys need to do it too. So when we say, hey, I will clean the toilets, I literally was cleaning the damn toilet this morning because I want to lead from the front. Yep. The other day we were cleaning windows, right? We have this window cleaning contest. That's the kind of stuff that we do. We want to enjoy. We want to gamify. We want to make sure we're leading from the front. We're like, nothing's too small for us to do.
Yeah. Lead from the front every damn day, right? So we're back tomorrow, leading from the front.
There you go.
Awesome. Thanks so much.